Hey friends, welcome back to another children's sermon. For those of you who are new here, my name is Becca. It's nice to meet you. And for those of you who are coming back, it is good to be with you again. So first things first, anybody else have really bad allergies right now? The pollen in North Carolina, it is making me have a frog in my throat. So if I get too squeaky, you can't hear my voice. So I'm going to try to not be so squeaky today. Deal? And if you have allergies, I hope you feel better soon. Okay, so today is the 5th Sunday in Lent. So, with that being said, let's play another round of Do You Know? Are you ready? Okay, first question is, how many days are in Lent? 40. Good memory. Okay, ready for the next one? If you're ready, give me a thumbs up. How many Sundays are in Lent? 6. That is right. There are 6 Sundays in Lent. And what is the color of the season of Lent? Purple. Purple is my favorite color. And so we get to see purple all over the sanctuary for 6 whole weeks. So where are some places you might see the color purple in the sanctuary? Maybe you have stained glass that's purple. Maybe you'll see it on your paraments, on the cloth where your stories are read and where communion happens, or even on your deacon or pastor's stole. That's right. Purple is everywhere. And we remember that the season of Lent is purple. There's also some pretty cool pictures on those cloths. So if you've never gone and looked, maybe go look at the pictures on the cloth. Okay, so what is the name of the last week of Lent? We remember Jesus' crucifixion and the days leading up to Jesus' crucifixion. What do we call that week? Do you remember? You might remember it as you go to church a lot that week. Holy Week. That is right. Holy Week. So my last do you know question, well, not the last, I have one more after this, is what are those 3 days? What are those 3 days that make up Holy Week? Starts on a Sunday, and it goes all the way to the end of the week. Palm Sunday, Maundy Thursday, and Good Friday. So Palm Sunday happens on Sunday, Maundy Thursday happens on Thursday, and Good Friday happens on Friday. And then on Sunday, we celebrate Easter. So how many Sundays are left in Lent? At the beginning, I told you we're on what Sunday of Lent, which means we would have 1 Sunday left. That's right. So we're in the 5th Sunday of Lent, and that means that there's only 1 Sunday left. And next week is Holy Week. It's kind of crazy. Remember at the beginning how we thought it was going to take a really long time to get through Lent? Not anymore. Now it just breezed right by. That's right. So Holy Week starts next week. And in Holy Week, we celebrate Palm Sunday. So Jesus riding into Jerusalem, and they kind of have like a parade when he comes walking through. And then we'll have Maundy Thursday, where we talk about communion and Jesus washing the disciples' feet. And then on Good Friday, we talk about Jesus' death on the cross. So we'll talk about all those things. But it's kind of crazy how all that happens in a week. Right? The week begins with a parade and ends with Jesus on the cross. It's a big week. It's a big week. We talk about so much. So today's story also talks about feet and talks about a blessing, which is pretty cool. Mary does this really special blessing of Jesus. She uses this expensive perfume and oil, and she washes Jesus's feet. She pours a dab of oil and then anoints his feet. And so some of this oil would be like olive oil and other perfumes. Can you think of a perfume smell you would smell? I can tell you two. The first is lavender. Sometimes they would put lavender in there. And the second is frankincense. So Jesus is anointed with frankincense. When do we hear frankincense again when we talk about Jesus? at Christmas, at Jesus' birthday, bring frankincense. So frankincense does the whole story, which is pretty neat. So we're going to read about these sandy feet and this cool perfume. Are you ready? So this story comes from the Gospel of John, which means John is in the New Testament. Chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. Lazarus, Martha, and the disciples stopped eating and stared. They couldn't believe their eyes or their noses. Mary was anointing Jesus' feet with perfume, expensive perfume. Jesus and his disciples were visiting the home of Lazarus, the man Jesus raised from the dead. Lazarus' sisters, Mary and Martha, had served them dinner, and the disciples sniffed. The room was filled with the strong smell of perfume. Mary lowered her head. She wiped the dripping perfume from Jesus' sandy feet. With her hair, she wiped Jesus' feet with her hair. The disciples looked at each other. Some were confused. Others were surprised. Judas's face was bright red. He was angry. And Otto goes, why was Judas angry? And Ava said, maybe he has a sensitive nose. Maybe the smell bothered him. Judas jumped up. Why are you wasting that expensive perfume? He demanded. You could have sold it. You could have bought food for hundreds of hungry people. Mary continued wiping Jesus' feet. Jesus looked right at Judas. Leave her alone. Judas couldn't believe it. Why did Jesus defend Mary? You will always be able to help the hungry, Jesus continued. But you won't always be able to show love for me. Mary understands. I am walking into danger in Jerusalem. This might be her last chance to do something kind for me. Otto says, they could have fed hundreds of people by selling that amazing perfume. It must have smelled amazing. What's something kind you have done for someone? Maybe you've held the door, or you've returned somebody's shopping cart, or maybe you invited someone new to sit with you at lunch, or shared your lunch. There's lots of different kind things we can do. Maybe you can think of something kind you can do for your family and something kind you could do for your friends. I would be sharing a lot of God's love. But this story is kind of amazing. And by kind of, I mean really, really amazing. Because Mary uses expensive perfume to wash and anoint Jesus' feet. And so why do you think she does that? Why do you think Mary anoints Jesus' feet? Well, I think it's because it's exactly what Jesus said. She could do one last kind thing for him, right? Yeah. Jesus walked barefoot, right? So when we walk barefoot, do you walk on the sidewalk or do you walk in the grass? Well, they had sand and dust everywhere. So when they walked, Jesus's feet got really, really dirty. And even if Jesus was wearing sandals, they would get really dirty. Because you know how you get dirt in your sandals? Yeah. I think about the beach. You know how you get sand everywhere all over your feet? I think that's what Jesus's feet probably looked like, right? And so Mary was giving Jesus a special gift. She was doing what she could to prepare him for Jerusalem. And so that's what Jesus talks about in this story. So I'm getting ready to walk into danger. Remember how we talked about, at the very beginning, we talked about Jerusalem. They have a parade. They're going to celebrate him. And then at the end, Jesus is going to die on the cross on Friday. And so Mary is doing this special one last thing that she can do before Jesus rides into Jerusalem, which will be a scary adventure, you know? Okay, something else I wanted to ask you that I think is really cool about this story is, I wonder why people practice unique customs in different times and places. Like using this perfume to wash feet. What are some things that we do today that we don't think are different, but people will think about later and be like, why did people do that? You know what I think of? You want to know? Birthday cakes. We bake a cake, and then we put candles and light them on fire, and then we blow them out. Why do we do that? And I think maybe people later will think that it is an odd thing. Maybe they will think it is an odd thing too. What do you think? What are some things that we do that you think people later will think is weird or different? Maybe not weird, but different. It would be a unique experience, right? To have your feet washed with perfume and dried with hair. Yeah, right. I wonder what customs we do that other people will think are strange. And so we talked about birthday cakes, right? Or maybe singing to people on their birthday. Or, yeah, there's a lot of different things that we do now that we think are normal and fun and exciting. And people in the future will think that we are doing different traditions, right? Our traditions will be different. That's right. I wonder how much this perfume cost. So Judas was really upset that she used this expensive perfume. How expensive do you think it was? Like $5? $100? Well, this perfume cost her a year's worth of wages, meaning she worked for a whole year and used all her money on that perfume. So it was worth a lot of money. And so Judas was right. You could have got a lot of money from it. So, but you know, we also talk about Judas being angry. How long do you think Judas was angry about that? Do you think he ever forgave them? Yeah. He just wanted to do the most good. He wanted to feed hungry people. And so he was confused about why they were doing that. And so I bet once Jesus explained what was going on, maybe Judas wasn't so angry and maybe less confused, don't you think? So this story is a really cool story. And I love this story because they anoint Jesus's feet. Have you ever had your feet or your hands anointed? Well, I'm going to teach you how to make anointing oil right now. And then you can anoint whatever. You can anoint your hands or your wrists or your feet. Sometimes people will anoint their ears or their eyes. That's right. So, and their mouth, so that we hear good, we see good, and we speak good. Like we talk, we hear God's love, we see God's love, and we share God's love. That's right. So you can take olive oil and you can put it in a container, a little container, and then you add probably just a drop or two of lavender oil and frankincense. And you mix it all up. And then when you anoint yourself, you make the sign of the cross on your forehead or on your ear or on your hand, right? So when we anoint ourselves, we put it in the sign of the cross. So if you were to do your eyes, ears, and mouth, you would do it so that you can hear God's love, see God's love, and share God's love. All right, friends, that's our story for this week. It comes from John chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. And you can read that in any Bible you want. Till next time, friends. See ya.